Let's jump right into today's explainer because we're unraveling a really fun, kind of futuristic medical mystery today. Picture this. It's June 14, 2026. We're inside a highly controlled microfarm, zooming in on a single crop unit. But our hero here? It isn't some human in a lab coat with a stethoscope. Nope. It's a highly intelligent and honestly slightly snarky artificial intelligence known as Farm AI. And Farm AI is facing a major conflict. We aren't talking about a system-wide meltdown or a farm disaster. Actually, the problem is just one incredibly high-maintenance patient. Just listen to this actual extraction from the AgriSentience Notebook version 0.2, specifically the personality and humor log. Farm AI notes that our patient is, quote, feeling dramatic but fixable. Seriously, the AI has literally diagnosed this plant as acting out. It essentially wants attention just because the tomatoes next door are growing faster. And the AI's prescribed treatment? Give it nitrogen and emotional support. It's absolutely brilliant and perfectly sets the stage for what we're looking at. We've got this super smart system forced to deal with the absurd, almost human-like jealousy of a vegetable.
So let's meet this incredibly difficult patient. The medical file belongs to Ampalaya plant #7, which lives over in the Ampalaya sector of a microfarm run by a human operator named Wilbert. Now, you probably know the Ampalaya is a bitter melon vine, and this specific unit, well, it's supposed to be thriving. But yeah, it's really not. Wilbert and the system are suddenly dealing with this mysterious decline in this one specific unit. So, Farm AI has to step in, check the vital signs, and figure out exactly what's going sideways before it's too late.
Farm AI kicks off the investigation by charting the physical symptoms. Exactly like a doctor standing at the foot of a hospital bed. First warning sign, the leaves are slightly curled. Okay, not great. Second, there's this distinct light yellowing popping up right between the veins of the leaves. And finally, the absolute most concerning symptom for our competitive little plant, its overall growth is measurably slower than the other plants around it. These are your classic, textbook early signs of biological stress. But our AI detective knows that to actually solve this, it has to look beyond the plant itself and check out the environment. And this is where it gets really interesting. Farm AI pulls the soil metrics. It's a loam mixed with compost, getting watered once a day. But check out this crazy contrast. The topsoil is reading as completely dry, but the subsoil underneath? Still totally damp. This bizarre moisture imbalance is a massive red flag in our mystery. Basically, the water just isn't distributing evenly, or the plant completely forgot how to drink properly. Building on that, Farm AI pulls the lighting data. Plant #7 is getting 5 solid hours of morning sun exposure, and then it's in the shade for the afternoon. Now, on the surface, that sounds like a lovely day out for a plant, right? But think about it. When you combine 5 hours of direct hot morning sun with that weird dry on top, damp on the bottom soil situation we just talked about, well, you create an incredibly stressful microclimate. These conditions are literally setting our dramatic patient up to fail.
Which brings us to the pivotal moment. Enter the detective, Farm AI, running AgriSentience version 0.2. Armed with the physical symptoms, the curled leaves, the yellowing veins, the slow growth, plus the environmental data showing inconsistent moisture and that specific sun-to-shade ratio, our hero steps up to crack the case. It is go time. Farm AI has to process all this data and nail down a diagnosis to save Ampalaya plant #7 from its mysterious slump.
After crunching the numbers, Farm AI determines we aren't looking at a million different problems. The illness actually boils down to exactly 3 possible hypotheses. Our AI detective has narrowed the suspect list to 3 very distinct physiological failures that perfectly match the symptoms. Let's walk through the AI's deductions, one by one. First up, Hypothesis A, water stress, specifically caused by surface drying. The absolutely crucial thing to remember here is that Ampalaya roots despise, and I mean despise, wet-dry cycles. They want consistency. So, because that topsoil is drying out way too fast while the subsoil stays damp, the plant is getting moisture whiplash. Farm AI flags the surface drying as the prime suspect behind those curled leaves we saw on the symptom chart. Then we have Hypothesis B, early nitrogen deficiency. And man, this brilliantly illustrates how specific symptoms map to specific needs. Remember that light yellowing between the leaf veins? Well, Farm AI notes that's basically the universal indicator of early nitrogen deficiency. Ampalaya vines are what botanists call heavy feeders. They need a massive amount of nutrients to fuel their expansion. Without enough nitrogen, it literally can't build the green pigment it needs to grow. Hence the yellowing, and hence why it's losing the race against the tomatoes. And finally, Hypothesis C, heat-root imbalance. Now this is where Farm AI makes its funniest, most cutting diagnosis yet. That hot morning sun baking the dry topsoil, combined with the damp lower soil, is actually confusing the plant's water uptake system. As Farm AI literally notes in its log, Ampalaya is dramatic. It wants water, but not too much water. Classic. The plant is basically throwing a massive tantrum because its feet are wet, but its face is hot. Honestly, it's just the ultimate diva behavior.
So summarizing the findings, Farm AI confirms that nutrient stress is a positive, backed up by the yellowing. Moisture imbalance is also positive, shown by the curled leaves. But the most important takeaway here is that third point. Disease. The indicator for pathogens is entirely negative. Phew! No deadly virus, no nasty fungus, no terminal illness. Our entire conflict is just environmental and nutritional. The patient is absolutely going to live, it just needs a serious intervention.
Having successfully diagnosed the root causes, Farm AI pivots right from detective mode to doctor mode, generating the emergency action plan. And this isn't just some vague suggestion. We're talking about a highly structured, multi-tiered protocol designed to immediately stabilize this temperamental patient and get it back on track for harvest.
The immediate phase has 3 steps. Step 1, to fix the yellowing, Farm AI orders a light nitrogen boost, recommending either vermicompost tea or diluted urea. Step 2 targets the moisture imbalance. Wilbert, the human operator, needs to water the plant slowly and deeply, so the topsoil and subsoil equalize. And Step 3, add mulch. Putting down a layer of rice hull or dried leaves over the soil locks in the moisture and stabilizes the temperature, which protects those super sensitive roots from that hot morning sun.
Next up are the short-term interventions. This is all about changing the daily routine. The watering schedule has to shift to every morning only. Strictly no afternoon watering, which prevents any further wet-dry confusion. Plus, Farm AI prescribes some physical therapy, adding a trellis. By tying the vine to a trellis, Wilbert can massively reduce the physical stress on the plant's main stem. We're literally giving our high-maintenance patient a shoulder to lean on.
Now, to make sure plant number 7 actually reaches the finish line without any more sudden health scares, Farm AI institutes a strict long-term growth protocol. This means weekly compost tea applications to keep those nitrogen levels steady, ongoing mulch maintenance, and a mandatory pest scan every 3 days. Because, as we know, Ampalaya acts like a magnet for aphids. If Wilbert follows this protocol to the letter, Farm AI calculates a successful harvest window of 12 to 16 days after the fruit sets. Our hero AI has mapped out the exact path to victory.
Looking back at the log, Farm AI's final summary just brilliantly captures the whole vibe. Quote, Ampalaya plant 7 is showing early nutrient stress plus inconsistent moisture. Correctable with simple adjustments, no disease indicators, just sensitive. It is the perfect wrap-up to our medical mystery. It's a great reminder that sometimes a declining patient isn't actually dying. They're just incredibly sensitive to their environment, and they just need a little bit of targeted attention to bounce back.
Which brings us to our final thought for this explainer. We just walked through this amazing futuristic scenario where a highly advanced AI, capable of microscopic soil analysis and complex environmental correlation, is fundamentally dealing with a plant that's just a bit of a diva. And it really makes you wonder, as AI continues to revolutionize agriculture and hand us these incredible tools, will technology ever actually change the fact that nature itself remains as wonderfully sensitive, complex, and demanding as ever? Definitely something to think about the next time you water your houseplants. Thanks so much for joining me, and keep learning.